In 2026, the vinegar market is undergoing a silent crisis. Long celebrated as a health elixir, recent global audits by the FDA and the European Food Fraud Observatory have identified systemic contamination in popular brands. The issue is twofold: aged vinegars that have leached high levels of neurotoxic lead from vintage storage barrels, and budget, white, vinegars that are actually synthetic acetic acid derived from petroleum. Quick favor before we move on. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 92% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So did you subscribe already? Great. Thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video. Here are the 10 categories and brands to avoid in 2026, followed by 4 safe, verified alternatives. 1. Aged balsamic of Medina, lead risk. The risk: in 2026, the aged label has become a red flag. Testing by Environmental Health News and Anresco Laboratories has consistently found that the longer a balsamic vinegar is aged in traditional wood barrels, the higher its lead content. High-end brands like Elsa Balsamic, 12-year, and Manicardi, 10-year, have historically tested at over 20 ppb of lead. The lead often comes from metal fittings on the barrels or contaminated soil where the grapes are grown. For children, even a tablespoon of these premium vinegars can raise blood lead levels by 30%. In 2026, expensive often equals toxic in the world of traditional balsamic. 2. Kirkland's Signature Balsamic, Medina PGI. The risk: even the beloved Kirkland's Signature Balsamic Vinegar of Medina has been subject to scrutiny. While it is a staple for many, several batches have been identified as carrying the California Proposition 65 warning for lead. Because Costco sources such high volumes, the consistency of the grape must and the age of the barrels used by their Italian suppliers can vary. In 2026, health-conscious consumers are being warned that PGI, Protected Geographical Indication, status only guarantees the location of production, not the absence of heavy metals leached during the aging process in older, unregulated facilities. 3. Imported red wine vinegars, bulk. The risk: bulk red wine vinegars from major supermarket labels like Great Value, Walmart, Albertsons, and Safeway Select have repeatedly failed 2026 purity audits. These vinegars are often found to have lead levels 8 to 10 times higher than the maximum daily level set by health advocates. The contamination is largely anthropogenic, stemming from industrial plumbing and lead-soldered implements used in high-speed, low-cost processing plants. These brands are essentially the industrial runoff of the wine world, prioritized for price over biological safety, and should be avoided for daily consumption. 4. Synthetic white vinegar, petroleum-based. The risk: many budget white vinegars sold in 2026 are not fermented from grain, but are industrial acetic acid, made from petroleum derivatives. European legislation has banned these from being sold as genuine vinegar, but they remain prevalent in the US and Asian markets. Brands such as Sure by Cane Vinegar and Chef's Flavor have been flagged for containing synthetic acid that didn't undergo natural fermentation. These fake vinegars lack the beneficial enzymes of real vinegar and can contain higher levels of heavy metal residues left over from the chemical synthesis process. 5. Holland House, balsamic and red wine. The risk: Holland House is a common supermarket brand that 2026 reports identify as a high lead offender. Its imported balsamic and red wine varieties have been named in multiple consumer safety suits for exceeding lead safety thresholds. Because these are often produced as cooking vinegars, the quality control on the raw materials and the storage vats is less stringent than for table vinegars. Using these to marinate meat or dress salads introduces a slow, cumulative dose of neurotoxins into your diet that can affect cognitive function over time. 6. S&W Red Wine Vinegar. The risk: S&W is another mass-market brand that has appeared on the Prop 65 list in 2026. Their red wine vinegar is often a blend of different origins, making it a transparency nightmare. Lab tests have identified not just lead, but trace amounts of arsenic in certain batches, likely from pesticides used in non-organic vineyards. In 2026, The global blend model used by S&W is considered high risk because it prevents the consumer from verifying the soil quality or the manufacturing standards of the original source. 7. Four Monks, domestic and imported. The risk. Four Monks is a major supplier of bulk vinegar to both retail and food service. 2026 audits have flagged their domestic balsamic and red wine varieties for heavy metal contamination. The domestic varieties are often flavored with caramel color for MEI, a potential carcinogen, to mimic the look of aged vinegar without the actual aging process. This creates a toxic cocktail. The synthetic colorants provide no health benefit, while the industrial processing increases the likelihood of lead and cadmium exposure. 8. Tinte, Pinoy Style and Premium. The risk. In 2026, the FDA has issued specific advisories against brands like Tinte for containing synthetic acetic acid. These vinegars are essentially chemical water. Ingesting synthetic acetic acid is particularly dangerous for those with sensitive digestive tracts, as it is more corrosive than natural, fermented vinegar. Furthermore, the lack of natural fermentation means you are missing out on the postbiotics and organic acids that support gut health. For any traditional dish like adobo, using synthetic vinegar is a biological shortcut that sacrifices safety for a lower price point. 9. Acetum 4-star balsamic. The risk. While marketed with star ratings to imply quality, acetum has been called out in 2026 for its high lead isotopes. Isotopic analysis reveals that the lead in these vinegars often comes from atmospheric pollutants and unidentified post-harvest contamination. This suggests that the grapes are processed in areas with high industrial smog or that the transport vessels are not trace metal clean. For a product intended for health-conscious dressing, the presence of atmospheric lead isotopes makes it a poor choice for those focused on longevity. 10. Concentrated white vinegar, 85% acetic acid. The risk. A dangerous trend in 2026 involves consumers using cleaning-grade white vinegar, often 75 to 85% concentration, for food preservation or as a stronger health tonic. Medical reports from the NIH have documented severe esophageal strictures and internal burns in children and adults who accidentally ingested these high concentrations. Even if used for pickling, if not diluted correctly, it can cause ulcerative injury to the stomach. Never buy vinegar from the cleaning aisle for consumption. The risk of permanent organ damage is far too high. The 4 safe alternatives. Verified 2026. If you want the health benefits of vinegar without the heavy metal tax, these 4 brands have passed 2026 purity and fermentation tests. Bragg Organic Apple Cider Vinegar, still the gold standard. It is raw, unfiltered, and organic, ensuring no pesticide-derived arsenic and no lead leaching. Valdespino Sherry Vinegar, an artisan choice from Spain. Unlike aged balsamics, high-quality sherry vinegar is produced in strictly regulated Solaris systems that have been tested for safety. Willie's Live Apple Balsamic, a modern British alternative to Italian balsamic. It uses live probiotics and is produced in a clean, modern facility that avoids the vintage barrel lead trap. Mazzetti L'Originale, gold label. If you must have balsamic, look for Mazzetti. Their 2026 batches have been audited for heavy metal compliance and carry the IGP seal with verified safety certifications. In 2026, the purity of your vinegar is just as important as the purity of your bottled water or honey. As we have seen with the lead in aged balsamics and the petroleum-based white vinegars, the industrial food system is built on the assumption that you won't look past the label. Protecting your biology requires you to choose natural fermentation over chemical synthesis and uniged or glass-aged vinegars over those from ancient, lead-leaching barrels. To stay safe, prioritize organic, raw vinegars in glass bottles and always look for fermented on the label. Real vinegar is a powerful metabolic tool. Synthetic or contaminated vinegar is a silent toxin. Your health is the result of what you exclude as much as what you include.